then now we can jump into our new big show. We've been talking about it for a couple weeks now, and it's finally here. We just both watched the first episode and have not talked about it at all. Uh, the first episode of The Last of Us season two premiered tonight. As we literally talked about last episode, season one is probably the best straight video game adaptation ever put to
Yep.
screen ever.
Yep.
I don't think there's really any question there. Um, so obviously we've been very excited for this season. Me and you were also both hesitant because the second game is just not very good. It's just not a very good story. Me and you and most people like didn't love the way that that game like just handled things and the direction they went. So everyone was kind of on edge, including us, about like how this season was going to be, how much if they were going to do anything different or like if they were going to stick to it. And we're not going to spoil what happens in the game. Me and you both know, and I'm sure a lot of people watching probably know. But yeah, so when this got announced, everyone's like, how are they going to handle this? So that hasn't happened yet, so we'll just have to see. But yeah, we got the first episode tonight, and it actually picks up like immediately where the last season ended, with Joel and Ellie talking after he breaks her out of that facility, and uh, and then it has the time jump. The Just like in the game, it's a 5 year time jump. So Ellie is now 19. She's a little bit older. Joel's obviously a little bit older as well. They've been living in this town for 5 years, and things for the most part are going pretty well there. They have like a little government, and they have a party for New Year's. It's like a normal little town for the most part, other than the fact that all around them outside there's zombies everywhere. So yeah, I kind of want to hear your thoughts. I had not talked to you at all about it. I know we both uh, kind of had the same opinion, but yeah, let's hear.
So you're gonna make me lay it out there first.
Yeah,
Fair. Yeah, so the 5 year time jump, I mean, Ellie, like you said, is 19 and she is think she's an adult now. I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all this that I don't remember the first part of the game leading up to the big event that we're obviously leading up to. We get Abby in this episode, who,
briefly. Yeah.
um, yeah, and we are waiting for basically the event that kicks off the whole the second game really, because everything that leads up to that is just kind of world building stuff.
Yep.
And this episode is the definition of world building. I mean, it's just kind of everything we already know. There's the clickers are running rampant and they're in Jackson, or what I don't really know.
Wyoming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jackson, Wyoming, in the mountains in the snow, which was a big part of the first part of the game, in the snow, and it's really just Ellie being defiant. She's going against protocol and the rules and everything she's supposed to do on patrol. And I will say this: it is good to see Pedro Pascal back as Joel. It looks like he aged just as like 5 years.
Yeah.
He actually is very interest. Well, I'll say this: he does a good job playing the character, but I think the way the character is written, I don't remember him being like that in the game, I guess. I don't remember him I remember him being attached to Ellie. He obviously loves Ellie like his own daughter that he lost at the beginning of season one. And Pedro does a good job playing somebody who's trying to get through to his daughter. But yeah, I didn't care for this episode. I think it's almost like we got a filler episode to start off the season, and it's just stuff that we kind of know about Ellie's character. Ellie's character has a hard time making relationships with people because we see in season one kind of her backstory, and what happened, and it's just I didn't really care for it, and I hate to say that because I had it at the top of my draft just a week ago, and this this episode is just kind of boring. And it's just world building and nothing happens. I think we got a cool scene with the clicker that they had crawling kind of through the store, that little area. Now, if I remember correctly, I just don't remember that clicker being in the game. I remember there being a zombie that was more heightened aware, but I guess I didn't remember it looking like that. Maybe it does. I don't quote me on that. I thought that whole scene was cool because you're finding out a new type of zombie that's very intelligent, very smart. I thought it looked incredible. Also the design of the clickers, it mirrors the game, and I think that's a W. So that's awesome. But other than that, at the end of the episode, and then I'll let you do your thoughts. But at the end of the episode, at the New Year's party, they have sparklers and they kind of drop it by a pipe that's obviously growing the fungus that is controlling the zombies. And then it pans up to the ridge up above the town, and we get Abby and her little crew looking down on the town, and that's the kind of end of it. But yeah, like I said, we all know what's coming if you know the game. But if this is what it's going to take to get there, they better do that quick because I don't think I can watch much longer of this. When they went out on the patrol, I thought that maybe they were going to kind of, go that direction. But that wasn't even close to happening. They go back to the town and everything. And it's just it's boring. I'm gonna go ahead and say it straight up. This would have been the weakest episode in season one, in my opinion. It's just not. I don't care. It's
Yep.
not. It's almost making Ellie feel like a defiant teenager, and Joel being the dad that's trying to break through. I don't remember that I don't remember that dynamic
No, it
really in the
was.
game.
It was like that. I will give it that. Because I actually watched a YouTuber Courage played it through last year for the first time, and so I remember watching and kind of had a little bit of a refresher. But it does after that 5 year time jump, like they are Joel and Ellie are at odds with each other over some things. He's trying to connect with her, and she's older and being defiant. That was like in the game, and I do also remember the New Year's party being in the game. That scene with
Yeah.
her and Dina
Yep.
dancing. And you didn't bring up Dina, but Isabella
Oh,
Merced is now Dina.
my bad.
I will say, I think she was probably the highlight of the episode. Um, I think she was very good, personally.
It was
Um,
fine. I mean,
I thought she was very good. It's
uh,
just, a new character. Um, and she's a huge part of the second game, so they got a good actress for that. I thought she was a good, fun character and a good introduction to her and Ellie's relationship. So that was the highlight for me. But yeah, like you said, for the most part, it's very underwhelming. It was, like you said, basically a filler episode at the start of the season, which is just not what you want. It's just a whole episode of playing catch up, and you're just catching up with these characters that you
yeah.
spent time with in season one. And they do that is in the game a little bit at the beginning
I
before the
remember the beginning being kind of slow,
before the big
but
event, but yeah, it's mainly I think they might have kind of drawn it out a little bit more.
so this is the problem, and this is going to be with every video game adaptation of like going to a TV show or movie. The difference between your video games and your TV shows or cinema or whatever is that when you're playing the video game, you're actually controlling the character, you're moving around, you're finding stuff, and you can't do that in a TV show or movie. So, like, the world building that you get in video games works the way it does because you're able to actually sit there and be like in the game, you're playing it, right? I think that's the problem with TV shows, and this one in particular is that at the beginning of the first game, you're able to go and do the patrol and be in the story because you're actually controlling the character, but you can't do that in a TV show. And this one is just world building, and that's all it does. That's all the whole first episode is.
Yep,
It's
it just kind of expands on the world from the last.
it's Ellie
Um,
being reckless, and it's Joel trying to reel her back in to be rational.
yeah, and it'd be essentially a father figure to her.
Yeah,
Um, Pretty cool. A big part of the second game is hello, hey, it's Nugget.
and Nugget.
A big part of the second game is like, his whole thing with the guitar, teaching her how to play guitar, and I'm sure we'll see more stuff of that because that's like a lot of the flashbacks that
Yeah,
happened in that second game, and um, so I thought that was kind of cool. A couple little nods that I remembered, and then I remember the New Year's Eve party and them dancing, and the confrontation, and I think that's like the last thing she said to Joel, before the big event happens, and Yeah. So I mean, but how this episode ended, it does look like next episode is when it's
Has
probably
to.
going
It
to
has
happen.
to.
Like you said, it kind of kickstarts off the whole what the game's about. So they have to do it soon. I think they have to do it next episode. If not, it's just going to get, they're just going to drag it out for too long. But it wasn't just all bad. It was just, I would say, just disappointing. I thought, like I said, I thought Isabella Merced was a highlight. I thought Pedro in his limited screen time this episode was very
Man,
solid.
he is
And
I know some people kind of don't they'll talk about the casting or whatever. Pedro is Joel, man. Like he looks rugged and rough and been through hell. I think that is like he looked great in this episode.
yep, yep. He just as good as he was last season. So he was a highlight. Isabella Merced a highlight, and then I think like the um just the setting,
Yeah,
like it just looked beautiful.
yeah.
The just the outdoor setting with the snow,
The horses.
and that was something that was super pretty about the
Yep,
second or at the start of the second game. Just everything happening in snow. So I think like the settings and everything look good. It's you feel like you are kind of like immersed in that world. They do a good job of like making it feel real. So I'll give them that. It wasn't all bad, but just very underwhelming and kind of disappointing, especially like I remember episode one of the last season being one of the best episodes of the show. That's
yeah,
when everything hits the fan and then you get the iconic scene of him driving the truck while
yep,
everything's exploding around him. And um so yeah, kind of a letdown, but I do understand they wanted to catch us up with these characters. I just think they kind of spent a little bit too much time doing it. But it looks like the big event is going to happen next episode. We'll have to see. And maybe the season takes a turn because it showed after the episode was over, it showed like kind of a trailer for
yep,
the rest of the season, and
yep,
I mean, it looks like it's going to be pretty good.
yeah, yeah,
I don't even remember the second game like being all that crazy.
yeah.
Um, but it also is a very long game, so there probably is some things I'm forgetting. So yeah, kind of wild that me and you were both a little disappointed in this. It wasn't just horrible, but definitely just not the best. And like you said, it probably would have been the weakest episode of season one. So
It it
probably
definitely would have
probably the
been the
weakest episode of the whole show so far.
yeah, and it sucks because it's the first episode of a new season. I almost wonder why they didn't just do a longer episode and get to that point and then cliffhang us till next week.
Yeah,
Kind of wonder why they didn't go that route. But
I mean they did kind of cliffhang a little bit, but
I mean, but like,
yeah,
you know what
I,
I mean. You know
I
what I
know.
mean. Like,
Um, but yeah, so that's The Last of Us. Hopefully next episode is better. Kind of sucks being a little disappointed in that because we both we love video games and we love video game adaptations. So
yeah,
we already knew this was going to be a hard video game to bring to life because it's a it's one of the most controversial video games of all time in regards to like people liking it or not liking it. So we'll just have to see the direction they continue to go, and hopefully the ball gets rolling next episode. So that's The Last of Us. That's all of our TV shows.